they reject. Now, for analysis, I'd like to bring in Joseph Bahout. He's a researcher at the Carnegie Foundation, and he joins us from Beirut. Thank you so much for being with us this Monday, sir. Now, earlier I mentioned Emmanuel Macron appears to have rather enjoyed his hero's welcome in Beirut just days after the explosion. And of course, today he's going in for seconds.
Yes, indeed. Emmanuel Macron is coming back tonight, and in fact, this visit is highly symbolic because the main aim of this visit is to commemorate the centennial of the Greater Lebanon Republic, or the state of Greater Lebanon that was created by the French Mandate. But the visit is also, on the other part, or on the other hand, very politically risky, because Emmanuel Macron last time when he came just after the blast, in fact engaged France and really pushed forward for a set of things. First, a real government of mission, a technocratic government independent of political forces that would be able to undertake the reforms that are urgently needed in the country. And this is not something that seems to be underway today. And the second thing is that he pledged to aid or to help the Lebanese put forward a roadmap that would produce a new political pact for the country. And this is also something that is at least, to say the least, very far-fetched today in Lebanon. So this visit is politically very dense and risky. Symbolically, it's very important also for the country and for this population.
Now, moving away from that, Lebanon's political class, and this is according to people in the country, are saying that it hasn't done a great deal to solve the multiple crises that the country is currently facing, specifically after the deadly and destructive explosion that we spoke about. Do you think Macron's presence is actually going to make much of a difference here?
Look, it depends on what's the criteria to judge success. Now, Emmanuel Macron can, quote unquote, hypocritically say that his visit has really triggered something in the political conundrum of the country, and that this has led to the formation of a new government. But at the same time, one can look at it more severely and say that while Emmanuel Macron was aiming to echo the population's let's say, request or claim that they want an independent government, a government that is completely independent from political forces, the same political forces has reproduced almost the same type of leadership. The prime minister that has been nominated this morning is someone who is a complete representative of the political club. He's the product of the consensus between two or three of these forces that people are completely rejecting, and that the roadmap of Emmanuel Macron was aiming to put aside. So he can say that maybe I helped to produce a government, I triggered or I changed something in the stalemate, I opened up something. However, what is opened up is really, really very modest. And if one wants to be cynical, he could have said, or he would say, that this something could have easily been produced without the trigger of Emmanuel Macron himself.
Joseph Bahout, you just mentioned, you spoke about Mustafa Adib, the new Prime Minister designate, cut essentially from the same cloth, may not see substantial changes as he comes into power. So where does Lebanon go from here?
In fact, he's not from the political class. He's the minor mirror of the political class, because he was the chief of staff of one of the big political tycoons. This simply means that we are going on business as usual, as if nothing has happened in Lebanon. Neither the economic collapse, nor the popular protest, and lastly, not this tragic blast. It's as if exactly we were taking the same players in miniature and going on the same classical way that essentially led the country to the catastrophic situation it is entangled into today. So, all the indicators let me think, and let most of the observers think, that we are ahead, and once again ahead, for lost time and really lost opportunities, and the crisis will go on and on and on.
Now, I have one last question for you. Do you foresee a strong re-emergence of the opposition movement, the protests that we've been seeing across Lebanon over the recent months?
This is probably the most unfortunate aspect of the crisis. This kind of surge of the popular protest that we have witnessed in last October, seems to be waning. It's waning for a set of reasons. First of all, there's a fatigue. There's the economic crisis and plight that is overburdening Lebanese. And then there was this blast that completely broke probably the spirit of a lot of people and their will and their stamina. So people are completely and very deeply fed up. However, we still don't see any real structuring of this protest movement. And this probably explains why and how the classical political class feels completely free-handed in continuing and perpetuating the classical way of doing politics in the country. So I think that the popular protest should today very seriously wake up. And if it does not, I think that the political class still has very bright days ahead of it.
On that note, Joseph Bahout, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to speak to us here on Live from Paris.